All right, hello everybody. I hope everyone's ready for some really fun stamping tonight. If you're new to my channel, my name is Julie Brown. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome. Just so you know, if you have any questions, you can just type those in comments. And if you are watching this on YouTube, it is a replay, but if you want to know about the supplies or anything else that I'm using tonight, both in my Facebook comments and in my YouTube description, there will be a link to all of the supplies used for each of the cards. Just so that you know, sometimes you have to click on the more on the YouTube because it just shows the first couple sentences, and you click on more and you will see the links there. I had a couple people ask me about that from last week, so I wanted to make sure I let everybody know that. So again, you can type in comments, and even if you're watching the replay on YouTube, you can type in comments, and it usually comes up on my phone, and I see them, and I'm able to answer those. So let me take care of some housekeeping real quick. Alrighty, so we're almost done with September, but that is the hostess code. So if you do order through me, and it is below $150, I would greatly appreciate it if you would use that hostess code. You can order through me at juliebrown.stampinup.net. And my email is juliescreativestampin@gmail.com. And then, I'm sorry, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram is at Julie's Creative Stamping. And my YouTube channel is a little bit different. You have to type in juliebrown.juliescreativestamping. And my blog or my website is juliescreativestamping.com, but that is under construction right now. So the only part that you can actually, when you go in there, everything looks blank. But if you click on blog, some of my past blogs are on there. I am going to start uploading some more recent blogs. I've been holding off as I've been building that, but I will start adding some more from the last several weeks and months of me doing these lives. Alrighty, so let's get started. So this is going to be my last Tuesday that I can do a perfect pairing, and I didn't get to do all of them, but basically what this is these were stamp sets that were either in the annual catalog or the mini catalog, and originally did not come with dies. But Stampin' Up! Decided to do this perfect partner special through the end of September, and did come up with dies for some of those stamp sets. So the two I'm not going to get to is the this birthday piggy bundle and the Yeti to the party bundle, because I really wanted to show you the Waterfall Canyon tonight. And the reason that I picked this one is because this is one of those stamp sets, when you look at it, you're really not sure what to do with it. And so I just wanted to show you three really fun cards that I did, and I'm still going to try to follow the simple stamping and the casual and the Avid, but I will admit to you guys that even though the casual one is pretty simple, hey Cindy, the casual one that I'm doing tonight is pretty simple because of the so many dies that I'm using. You might consider that more leaning towards the Avid. So let's get started so I can get through all of these tonight. All right, so let me bring in the stuff for my first card. And this one we are gonna just do the simple stamping. So I'm just gonna need a piece of basic white. And then these are what we call reversible stamps. Hey Shanine. And so what that means is you can stamp with both sides of this. And so this is the detailed. And so I am gonna flip this around, and I am going to use the flat side. These are made in such a way that they will stick, both sides will stick. So I am going to bring in some Coastal Cabana, and tonight I was thinking about using a bunch of different colors, but one of the things I want to show you guys tonight, hey Juanita, is how to create cards if you like with different shadings when you only have one ink pad. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So I'm going to bring this in, and I'm going to ink it up in the Coastal Cabana. And then I am going to stamp off like so. And then I'm going to bring this in and stamp it here. So can you see the difference in that? So right away, by stamping off, I've got two different shades of the same color. And that's what I'm always telling you guys about, that you can use one stamp pad and get different shades of the same color. So now I'm going to clean this off. And I'm going to just, because this is a reversible stamp, hey Janet, I'm just going to flip it over because we can use both sides to stamp with. That's why they're called reversibles. And again, we're going to ink this up. Now, with reversible stamps, it doesn't match exactly, and it was intended to be that way. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to stamp right over that. So what I mean is you can see that the flat side, that this image here was over here. So it doesn't follow exactly, but it's made to look like that. That is the whole purpose of these stamps, is not getting an exact follow. When you want exact, you want the two-step stamps, and that's where you can either have do like an outline, like if I were just to stamp this and then color it in, or you would have the shading, and in those stamps, in most cases, it is the exact lineup that you're stamping. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in Sahara Sand, and like I said, all night long, I'm going to only be using one shade of brown, but we're going to be stamping off, so it looks a little bit different. Okay, I'm trying to see which edge I have on here. Okay, I think that's the flat edge. I got to make sure. Let me practice how this goes on here. Yep, okay. All right, so again, I'm going to ink this up, and then I'm going to stamp off, and then we are going to position this right there next to the waterfall. All right, and I know you can barely see it, but that's okay. Then I'm going to bring in my other side, make sure I've got the flat side on there, and do the same thing where I'm going to stamp off, and then we're going to bring this in and fit it right against that edge, like so. So you can see that's pretty light right there. So I need to clean this side, and then I'm just going to flip that over. So I'm just going to turn it over because this is the detailed side. So that's what's cool about these reversible stamps, is that all you've got to do is just flip them over and they're ready to stamp on with the detailed side. So, and then what's going to happen is you're actually doing the opposite, if that makes sense. So this was the one that I stamped over there, so this time it's going to stamp on this side. So I'm going to ink it up, and I'm using Sahara Sand. But do you see how it does that shading by just stamping off? Again, you know, I know I tell you guys this all the time, but I really wanted to show you a demonstration of exactly how that looks. All right. So there it is, stamped on that side. So those are our cliffs. Now this next little bit's going to take me a little while because I am having to fill in a lot of trees. But before I do the trees, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some rocks down here at the bottom. And again, we're using the Waterfall Canyon stamp set. And the rest of these, I'm not going to, you can do the reversible on all of these. But I decided that I just wanted to use the one side for this. So I'm just going to kind of come in and I'm just trying to kind of fill in some spaces here. And then I'm going to come in with like some trees and stuff a little bit later. So I think I might just want this little edge right here. There. Okay. So there's our rocks down at the bottom. And I think I'm done with Sahara Sand. So this stamp set, even though I'm doing simple stamping, because this is absolutely all stamping on this card, it can take a little bit of time because in this case, there are so many different stamps. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the Evening Evergreen. And we are going to stamp some of these big trees. But I'm going to just show you how quick this card goes together. And so basically I'm going to come in down here. And then immediately I am stamping off to get a lighter shade of that. Let me bring it closer so you can see. Can you see that lighter shade of the tree? And so that's basically kind of how I design this card, is just kind of coming in with the darker and then going over both with the lighter. Same thing here. I'm going to come in dark right there and then come in light. And basically all I'm doing here is building my forest. So again, we're going to come in here, come in lighter there, come in a little bit darker there. And then we're going to start working on this side, do the same thing. See how cool that is? And it gives you that dimension of the trees by just stamping off and using that lighter color. So we're going to go in dark up here, come in light right there, come in dark right here, and then I need a lighter one up here. So then I'm going to come in dark here and light right there. Okay. Excuse me, I thought I had my do not disturb on, but it's my daughter's calling in, so hopefully that will not disturb my phone. Let's hope. So what I want to do down here is I want to bring in some of the smaller trees. So let me just clean that off. And so we've got these little like double trees with kind of little bushes on them. And so I want to bring in some of these. And so I'm going to stamp that like so, and then stamp that. And then I'm going to come in kind of down here and bring in some trees down here. And you can see I'm stamping like right over the top of what I've already stamped. So let me bring that closer. So can you see what I've just designed by just stamping? Isn't that fun? I love this. And it doesn't take that long. But it's just, you know, I think for people that maybe are a little more precise than I am, it might be a little harder. So now I want to add in some trees or some bushes up here. So we have these two little fun bushes here. And I'm going to come in here, and I guess I better ink it up a little bit better. I'm going to just barely touch it off because I kind of want that to be a little more predominant there. So I'm not pushing down real hard on the stamp off. So it's still, but again, that almost gives me another shade, right? Oh, I'm glad you like that, Juanita. It is kind of cool, isn't it? So again, I'm just barely touching it off. Like I'm just barely setting it down and letting some of that ink come off. And then we're putting it up there. So we're putting in some bushes and trees in the mountains. And then I want to go ahead and bring in, actually I'll just go ahead and use the same color here. So we'll do this one a little bit darker. So this is going to be my trees on the line up here at the top, the horizon line, I guess you would call that. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. So I've got those trees on both sides. Let me clean that off. Guys, we're almost done stamping with this one. Woohoo! That's how quick this goes. It's good because my last one, for those of you that were in my, that came to the bingo, it is that same card, but now you're going to get to see how I created that card because there are a few little tricks to that card. Okay, so it's got this cool little bridge that we can stamp. And remember, for almost everything that I am stamping here, there is a die to cut this out. So way cool. So I'm going to come up here with my bridge and just set that down like so. Can you see that? Isn't this cool? Guys, you know what? Again, this is one of those stamp sets that you might look at and say, you know, I really don't know what to do with it. You know, how can I make it a cool stamp set? And this is how you do it. Okay. So then I'm going to come in with a piece of Sahara Sand. And I am bringing in the Happy Birthday from the Go-To Greetings. And we're going to bring back in that Evening Evergreen. And we're just going to ink this one up. The one thing I will say, this stamp set does not have any sentiments that go with it. So that can be good and bad because you can make this into anything that you want to. Sorry, it didn't look like I was getting much ink on there. Okay, so there's my Happy Birthday. And then I'm just going to take this and use my Stampin' Seal Plus and run this along this bottom edge here where I'm just kind of covering a little bit of the water and a little bit of the rocks. But, you know, I want obviously both to show, so, all right, goodness. This is so hard to get things straight when I can't get my head over it. All right, so I'm going to set this aside and we're going to stamp the inside really quick and then we'll put the card together. So all I did for the inside here was I brought in a greeting, not from the Go-To Greetings. So let me kind of show you the stamp sets, the sentiment sets that I'm using tonight, just so you guys can see them. So it is the Very Best Occasions and the Go-To Greetings, because there's a lot of these greetings that I can use some of the sayings over here with. So I really, really like these. Oh, and let me put this up really quick. That's the number for the Waterfall Canyon Bundle. If you guys decide that you are interested in that, remember we only have a couple more days before you can get the whole bundle, because when September 30th hits, we are done with the dies for this. You'll still be able to get this stamp set because it's in the annual catalog, but the dies will not be available. All right, so I'm just going to put sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. Of course, that sentiment could be for a wedding, could be for a baby shower, could be for anything. Okay, let me take that off. And then all I did down here at the bottom was kind of that same concept as I just came in with my tree. I think I'm running low on my Evening Evergreen ink. I need to re-ink it. So we're going to put that one up there. We're going to bring in a darker one there. We're going to bring in a dark one there and then stamp off right there. So that's how easy it is to fill in that bottom with some trees. Yay! So I hope you guys get as excited as I do about these. Like I said, I really like this stamp set. So, but again, it was a stamp set that when I first looked at it, wasn't sure if I was going to like it. And so I really wanted to make sure that it was going to be something that I liked. Okay. So then I'm going to bring this in. So I'm going to show you a little trick. If you don't like scoring these, there's a couple things you can do. You can either bring in your cutter, and I learned this from Bruno Bertucci. He taught this to us in a class I was just in. We did a retreat with them. And this has a ledge. So if you push this up to the ledge, and then you just fold your card and push it up so it's all nice and straight, you're going to get a perfect folded card every single time. Everyone, let's do some ooh-ahs on that one, right? It's like ooh-ah, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. How cool is that? You can also, if you have a Stamparatus, you can do the same thing on your Stamparatus. Just find a corner stick one edge in the corner and fold it over. Isn't that cool? I just love that little tidbit that Bruno gave us in that class. I thought it was way cool. So now I'm just going to take my Stampin' Seal Plus. Whoopsie. Make sure I didn't go off the edge there. And I'm just using a Coastal Cabana for the background here, because I kind of wanted to highlight that color, because that's the water. And remember, this is my simple stamping card. And then this is going to go on the inside. Now, as you know, you can add any kind of embellishments that you desire. You could use some Wink of Stella on the water to make it shimmer and shine. But because I'm trying to keep this simple, I'm just going to show you stamping with the stamps that are in the stamp set, and obviously some sentiments. All right, card 1 done. What do you guys think? Isn't it cute? And that went together really quick, you guys, right? And I just used a ton of stamps. So do you like the reversible stamps? So let me know on that. So if there's any of you that are still listening to me, let me know if you like the reversible stamps. I would really like to know whether that's something that you're kind of liking, or are they making you a little nervous? All right, card 1 done. So let's move on to card 2. Now, card 2, I prepped a lot of stuff because card 3 is going to take a little bit of time. Yay, so Vanita, you really like it. I'm so glad. It is fun, right? So these reversible stamps are so much fun. Okay, so this next card, I wanted to make it a casual card. So we are going to be using the same stamp set. And we're going to, I've pre-cut a bunch of the dies, and I've kind of pre-stamped a bunch of stuff. But this is the textured chic paper, and I'm going to use this darker side right here. So I am going to bring in, because remember, casual stamping is, you know, bringing in a few extras, sometimes ribbon, sometimes paper, bringing in some dies. Now, I am bringing in more dies than I normally do for a casual stamper, and that's just because this set was too much fun to play with. So, gotta admit. So this is probably leaning towards the Avid, but still really like it. Okay, so what I did was I stamped 3 of the waterfalls and cut them out with the dies. And so I'm going to take these 2, I've kind of, yeah. These 2 I didn't cut fully, but this one is completely cut. And so I'm going to take this one and I'm going to adhere this with some liquid glue. And like I said, I did pre-die cut a bunch of this stuff out just so that this card would go a little quicker. But just remember, guys, you know, you can sit and watch TV and die cut things. So I'm going to try to center this piece the best that I can. Oh, shoot, I wasn't supposed to put this on. I do this every time. Sorry, I got to pull this up. I forgot I was supposed to measure my... I'm just going to pull the edge up a little bit so I can trim. So I can trim this guy. I'm such a goober. Okay, so this one I don't want all the way on. It's basically going to kind of be, I think I want it about that high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a pencil. And I'm just going to kind of mark it here. And kind of mark it over here, and I'll have to cut that out when I get it on there. So basically all I'm doing here is I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm just going to trim. Normally I would have just kind of set it on there and trimmed it, but because I glued that down like a goober, now I get to do it the harder way. Just goes to show you I don't think everything through. Okay, so I want this to be about, yeah, right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lift this up, and I've loosened this edge over here. So I'm just going to bring in my paper snips and just get even with that paper and snip that like so. All right, and then same thing on this side. Oh my gosh. So this side, actually this side's gonna be a little bit easier because I can cut this right at this line right there. So let's do that. Because I kind of wanted to do, have you guys ever like been walking up in the mountains where you come across a lot of waterfalls together? That's kind of the look that I was going for with this card. Oops, don't need that piece. Okay, so then I'm just going to kind of trim off that little piece and this little piece. Okay, but these two I'm going to pop up. All right, so I'm going to bring in my dimensionals, and we're just going to add these to the back of this. Can't believe I did that. Actually, I can. That's just, you know, it's always the days where I think I'm so prepared that when I start to do the class, I always do something. I always do what I call a goober move, right? Goober move. All right, so I'm just going to take those off. And then we're going to line that up in that corner like so. So it's going to set like that. Do the same thing with this one. And this is kind of a different look. And as I'm building it, this was kind of one that as I was building, I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it. It actually took me putting all the finishing touches on it for me to say, yeah, you know what? I like the way this came out. Which happens to me a lot. All right. So now we're going to just add this one over here, like so. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in one of my silicone mats because we're going to do a lot of gluing at this point. So let me just kind of move this out of the way. Okay, so I have all these little pieces. So these are like little grass pieces that are part of this. And then we have like these fern looking things and some leaves. And then I brought in the in color glimmer paper to cut out the little flowers. So this one's going to have more of a tropical vibe, where the last one had more of a mountainous vibe. Okay. So basically what I did with this is I just kind of, I'm going to do the grass pieces first. So I just kind of set them and I just kind of clip this one like so to where I know it's going to be underneath when I put that together. And then I'm going to bring in one of these pieces, one of these darker evening evergreen pieces, but I think I want the thicker side. Yeah, I want this one. There's two dies that cut out like the grass looking stuff. And so as I start to kind of form this together, again, I'm just going to kind of clip that in the same spot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, this is Tombow Glue, but I've just put it in this little container to make it come out thinner. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm actually going to bring my tweezers in for this one. And I'm just going to lay this across the top of this grass right here. Then I'm just going to flip it and do exactly the same. And then I'm going to just bring this in, and it's going to stick right behind there like so. Okay, and whoops, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to stick to my finger instead. One downfall of liquid glue is it always tends to stick to your finger. Okay, now I don't know what I did with my other evening evergreen piece. Did it go? There it is. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to kind of look at like how far I can stick that under, and then I'm going to basically trim it right there. Should I come in a little closer for you guys? So, whoops, that was probably a little too close. Okay, well, if I can find a happy medium, let me just scoot this up so you can kind of see what I'm doing. All right, and then I'm just going to bring in this, and I'm just going to kind of measure like how much I need. Again, I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue here. And then I'm just going to stick this to the back of it. Oh my goodness. My fingers are just not tiny enough. I laugh when my grandkids come in and work with me because their fingers are so much tinier that it's actually easier for them to do some of this stuff, which is crazy, right? Yeah, Callie and Emmett have those nice little tiny fingers, and it just really helps them. So then I'm just going to bring this one in, and this is going to kind of slide underneath there, and it's going to be positioned right there. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing over here. So sorry if this is getting a little tedious, but you're actually getting to watch like the whole build of a card, right? Which I don't do very often on here, and I just thought it would be fun to do that with this one. So again, I'm kind of measuring just to kind of see where it will, kind of that edge will go under. And then we're going to bring in this green, the Evening Evergreen. And again, exact same thing. We're just going to put some glue on the back. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I love waterfalls. I like the way they sound. When I'm out hiking, I love even though sometimes they're kind of loud and crashing, there's just I just get a really peaceful feeling, you know, just kind of sitting and watching waterfalls. They're one of my favorite things to look for when I'm out camping or hiking. Okay, so this is going to go like so. And then same thing here is we're just going to kind of measure. And this one I'm actually going to kind of bring down. Well, no, I guess I'll do it up a little higher. So let's see, I need my snips, and we're going to snip it right there. And then put the glue on it, and then we're going to bring in our Evening Evergreen. And this one I'm not cutting before I put it on there because I'm trying to make it so that I can see it from the back side. So I'm going to have to kind of finagle it a little bit. And then we're just going to snip that part off. And I actually think I am going to kind of go straight with that horizon right there. All right, so that's going to go there. So far we've added the grass. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some ferns. And again, I'm always real careful when I'm doing this to only put glue towards the bottom, because sometimes as I'm building, I kind of decide that maybe I want to put some stuff underneath it. Oh, I forgot I was going to put grass across the bottom here. So let me get the grass across the bottom. I knew there was a reason why I cut more pieces of grass. I was like, why do I have so much grass? And as you'll notice, I'm only putting glue at the bottom, not at the top. Because one, we are going to be layering some pieces here. And so you don't have to like pile everything full of glue when you're doing this, because you're going to have pieces on the top that will compensate for not having glue all over it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Alrighty. So now I'm just going to come in, and this one I'm going to kind of, so I'm going to stick this first little piece, and I'm going to kind of, you'll see how I'm kind of bending it to fit kind of how I want that to fit down there. So I'm going to come back over and push that little piece up. So this grass, you can kind of bend it and finagle it just a little bit. All right, and then I'm just going to bring in just a smidgen of the evening evergreen. I didn't want like the full evening evergreen, and this time I'm going to put it on the front side instead of the back side. But we are going to be slipping a bunch of stuff back behind here. And I'm just going to kind of put that in the middle. And then see this little edge here that kind of came down? I don't want that, so I'm actually going to just trim that and get rid of that because I just wanted a little bit of that evening evergreen right there in the middle. Whew! Okay, so then I'm going to come in, and I have another little fern, but this one is in the soft succulent. Gosh, you would think I have enough glue on my fingers by now to be able to glue all this stuff down. So see how, because I'm trying to push this down, that's another reason I didn't put that glue up higher. And then I'm going to come in with a smaller evening evergreen fern, just the same size as this one. Now this is almost a monochrome card because I'm using kind of the same colors, but I'm going to be bringing in like a pop of pink, and actually it's the sweet sorbet because it's the in color. So I am going to kind of be bringing in some pops of color. And then of course this I did with the balmy blue instead of like the greens. So I did bring in some other colors. It's not completely monochrome where I'm using just the, you know, all this kind of the same color, but different shades of that color. And so let's bring this in here. And then we're going to bring in one more. Do I have one more little? I don't know if I have one more little. Okay, I don't have another little one. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in another big one, and we'll shove a bunch of it. I'll probably trim it so that it will fit back behind that. And just the edge is going to kind of pop out. I know when we're die cutting all these pieces, we never dream about like slicing them all up into little pieces, right? Ah, come on, go underneath there. Okay. So that's going to fit like so, and just kind of, and I actually think I want this to be on top of that. So I'm just going to fold that up a little bit, so that that evening evergreen is in the back. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So now I'm going to simply bring in these, and again, I cut these out of that glimmer paper. I don't know if you can see the glimmer and the shine. It's the in color glimmer. So this is the sweet sorbet. And then I'm just going to kind of add these to the ends of some of these. And the cool thing about this paper is it's kind of an ombre paper. So you'll notice that as I put these little flowers on, it's actually going to take on, they're going to look a little bit different because some of them have lighter shades to them. Lighter shading, I should say. All right, so let's bring in some of these little tiny ones. This is where I need my tweezers. Okay, so we're going to bring in a little one here. Kind of push that down. And then, so can you see how this is a lighter shade than these up here? And that's just because of where it was cut on that ombre paper. All right, so we're going to kind of do one right here. And then I think I want to kind of stick one kind of back here, like it's just popping out from behind there. Because we're just creating a scene here is what we're doing. So this one I'm just going to kind of shove partially back there so it pops out like so. And let me pull another one of these little ones. Let me see if I have a little one that's a little bit darker in color. All my little ones seem to be the light. That must have been where I was cutting them out on that ombre. Yeah, it looks like all of them are going to be kind of the lighter shade, and the larger ones are the darker shade, which again, that works, right? Everything works. All right, so we're going to put this one down here. And I'm not going to put one on every like little tiny piece, but I am going to basically add them until I'm happy with it. So that one's just going to lay on top of the waterfall. Because remember, we're building a scene here. Oh, that moved. I don't like that. That was supposed to stay up in there. Okay, I'm just going to move that so it stays over there. And then we're actually going to come in with another small one here. If I can get a hold of it. And we'll stick a small one right there. And I think I'm good with that right there with the flowers, okay? Again, I was just trying to add a pop of color. Actually, this is really bothering me, so I'm actually gonna stick a little tiny one right there. I thought I got that up underneath there, but I didn't. So now I'm just gonna shove that so you can't see the edge of that green, and it's got a flower. And I'm thinking I might want to put another one. This is what happens when I start building, guys. I just kind of go for it, right? And it's just like, where do I want to add some more? So yeah, let's add another one right there. Okay, that should be good. It's like, make me stop, make me stop. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bring this in, and I'm actually going to use the Balmy Blue this time because that's what I did the waterfalls in. And I'm going to bring in this Thinking of You, and this is from the Very Best Occasions stamp set. And we're going to stamp that like so. I'm going to leave this open because I'm going to use that in just a second. And then I'm just going to bring in my Stampin' Seal Plus and do a little line there. And we're going to border this. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing, can you? I need to scroll back out. So now I'm just going to add a frame to this, or what we call a mat. And then I'm just going to take this, and it is going to fit up here in this top right corner. And then up in this left corner, we have these, this is more of the die set. It cuts out these like embossed leaves, which I think are just really super cute. So I'm just going to put some glue on this. Stick that up in this corner. And then it also has a little one, but I'm going to grab the Evening Evergreen little one. And again, we're just going to get some glue on the back of that. And that's going to kind of lay like so. And then we're going to come in with one of those little flowers again. Get a little bit of glue on there. And then that's just going to kind of sit on both of those like so. Okay, let me do the inside and then we'll finish. I've got a couple more steps for the outside. So let me do the inside. So for the inside, I actually wanted to stamp the waterfall again. Let me move that out of the way. So I'm going to bring in, and of course I've got to turn this over to the flat side. Remember, I'm using reversible stamps if you guys are just joining me, and these are the stamps you can use both sides. So I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to just stamp this in this bottom corner. And I know you can barely see that, but it's there. Then I got to clean it. And we're going to flip it over. Yeah, both sides of these stamps are sticky, so they stick to the block. And then we're going to just ink that up. And we're just going to come in and add that like so. So now we've got a waterfall in that bottom corner. Oh, and then I need the sentiment. And then for the sentiment for this one, so it was thinking of you, and where's the other one? With comfort and love. And this is from the Very Best Occasions stamp set. Okay, so there's that. I'll clean those up in just a quick second. Okay, so now we're just gonna take this. Now you're gonna see me flipping this over quite a bit, because anytime that you stamp off with that much ink on paper, you can definitely pick it up, especially on a white piece of paper. So that's kind of just be cautionary when you're working with a white paper, that you do make sure that you're flipping your paper over back and forth or over, so that that ink is not wet and doesn't get on. Okay, so to finish this off, I'm going to bring in some Wink of Stella. And I am just going to make my water shimmer and shine. Hopefully I've got enough in here to do that. This one's running kind of low. I'll bring it closer to you when I get this on here. Yeah, I think this one is almost out. And remember, I've told you guys before, when they run out, you don't want to completely throw them away, because you can add some re-inker to them and make them a different color, and then just add a little bit of alcohol in with it, and then you'll have some colored Wink of Stella, and it will basically just kind of make it last a little bit longer. Oh, and I want to do that on the inside as well. I want to make this sparkly on the inside. So I'll bring it closer and see if my lighting will pick up the shimmer. Let's see. Can you see the shimmer? It's hard for me to see if you can see the oh, I saw a little glimpse of it. Okay, so what do you think of this card? Fun, right? And that was using a lot of the dies. And I would say that that's closer to an Avid, just because the amount of dies that I used. But basically it was just finding a designer series paper for the background, and then stamping and cutting out things and cutting out some of the dies, and then popping it all together. So card number 2, what do you guys think of this one? Hopefully you're liking this, and I'm giving you some ideas, if not for this stamp set, for some other stamp sets, but I hope you guys like that one as well. Can you see the shimmer and the shine? Ooh, it's like ooh-ah, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. Okay, so now let's do the last card. And again, those of you that were at my bingo, you guys actually made this card, but I did all of the work ahead of time. And I want to show you, because there was some really unique techniques that I used for this, and so I really wanted to show you guys how to do this. One, we're going to bring in the Stamparatus and use the Stamparatus, and you'll figure out why in just a second. I mean, I probably wouldn't have to use the Stamparatus, but I'm going to. Okay, so there's a couple more I needed to clean off here really quick. So any questions so far on anything that I've shown you tonight? No questions? All right. Okay. So the reason that I want to use the Stamparatus is because I have gone ahead and I have pre-cut this with the deckled, what is it? What are they called? The deckled, oh my gosh, the deckled rectangle dies. And so I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus because it just helps me with my placement a little bit better. I'm glad you like the color combo. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of set this here. And set this here, and then I'm going to come in because I'm going to do my flat side first. And hopefully I've gotten it clean. All right, so I'm just going to close my Stamparatus, and then I'm just going to pick this up. Now, what I'm doing that's a little bit different here is I'm going to be, instead of stamping off, I'm going to be removing this in a way that it gives this a really interesting look. And so Sherry, and I'm going to mess up her name, and I'm so sorry, Sherry, but it's Sherry Stokovich from Sherry's Cards is actually who showed me this card and this whole technique that she used. And I used a lot of her same colors, except she put in, and I'll tell you when, but she put in a lot more foils and stuff to make hers like really glimmery and shiny, and I went with more basic colors. So this time we are pulling in Pool Party ink. And so what we're going to do is we're going to ink this up with Pool Party. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to bring in one of my blending brushes. And for those of you that were at my class, yes, I did this for every one of your cards. And I'm just going to tap on it to kind of remove some of that color. Now you can kind of get the same effect, except you'll see it looks a little bit different when you're tapping on it. Then we're just going to shut this and push down. And so you'll see it's a little bit darker than if I were to have stamped off. All right. And so, but that's kind of the look that I'm going for. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean this off with my chamois. My chamois is drying out. And now I'm just going to lay this down because I want the detailed side down. And I'm just going to pick that up. Let me make sure that kind of stayed lined up. Yeah, okay. And now what I'm going to do, and again, these colors were Sherry's idea on the colors. I don't think I would have thought to do this color. So now she brought in, or I'm going to bring in Basic Gray. And this just wasn't a color that I would have ever dreamed of putting with this. And again, this time I want to really make sure I get a lot of that picked up. But can you see how by stamping this, it takes a lot of that darkness off? And then when we put this one down, we just want to barely touch it. So I'm being so very careful. Okay, but I need to touch it a little bit more. And of course, the nice thing about the Stamparatus, if it doesn't look the way you want it to at the beginning, you can keep doing what I'm doing and keep shutting it and getting the right color. All right, so there's the gray over the blue. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and use Sahara Sand. And I think I can probably, I'm going to try to freehand this part of it. Maybe not. I thought I was going to be brave, but my braveness just left the building. So now where did I put that block that this was on? Okay, so now I'm going to bring in, and I need the flat side. And I'm going to go ahead and do both of these at the same time. So I'm going to place them down here. That's kind of the nice thing about the Stamparatus, right? Oh, wait, I'm not doing the, whoops, see, I almost messed up. I need the flat side down first. And I know a lot of these cards are kind of looking the same, but this one I'm just going to show you, you know, how to, you can make it look different just by the stuff that you add or don't add to the card. Okay, so now we're going to, stay. Okay, so now we're going to come in with, I'm going to leave that because I'm going to be using that one. What did I do with my Sahara Sand? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to come in with Sahara Sand. And we're just going to, again, ink both of these up at the same time. And then I'm going to bring in that blending brush for my browns. And I'm just picking up some of that color. And then we're just going to push that down very gently. Okay, so we've got that. So now I need to clean these. And now we're going to, they go on the opposite side. So I hope that makes sense. It's going to be the opposite side. So like this one is now going to be on this side. So then when I flip this, I'm doing exactly opposite of what I told you guys. Okay. And then this one is now going to be on this side. And now I have the detailed side down. And I'm going to pick that up. And we're going to come in with the basic gray. Now I really want to get a lot of this color off. I don't want it to be dark at all. So I'm just kind of tapping. And I hope you guys can see it on camera how it's taking up a lot of that color. And sometimes you have to kind of bend your blending brush to the side so that it helps to pick up some of that color. Okay, and I'm going to be very gentle here. Okay, so I like this side, so I can go ahead and take this one off. But oh no, I took the wrong one off. Oh my gosh. All right, this is the, I got this. All right, that's the one I wanted on. And I needed a little more color on that side. I still need a little more color. So I can kind of just keep pushing. Okay, I like that. So I'm just gonna remove those. I'll clean those in a bit. All right, so now I'm ready to take it off of my Stamparatus. And obviously I'll have to clean my Stamparatus. So now what I wanna do is I want to bring in some of this color from up here down a little bit lower. So because I've picked up color off of these blending brushes, now I can just kind of tap them in here. And I'm not having to re-ink these because I basically just kind of filled these up a second ago with these colors. So I am kind of going in a circular motion a little bit, but I'm not trying to like completely cover it. And then I'm going to come in a little bit with that basic gray. And I hope you guys can see this, how it's adding that color in. And then what I'm going to do down, I'm going to like come in and I'm going to kind of go over this area with that pool party. And so I'm just kind of bringing that as kind of a shading down here. All right. So that's, let me bring it closer so you can kind of see how I've just kind of added a little bit of that color throughout. All right, now we're getting ready to build this, but I did use a embossing folder on this, And this is where I'm going to tell you like what Sherry did with her original. So this piece on her original was with the brushed metallic. Oh, let me get these out of the way. Sorry, guys. It was the brushed metallic gold foil. And I do like that look, but I just wasn't feeling it when I was doing these. So I'm going to come in here and I am going to bring in that embossing folder. And I'm going to be using the Timber 3D embossing folder in just a second once I get it out of its little envelope. Goodness sakes. Okay, so I'm just going to, you always want to make sure, so I want my timber to be this way on my embossing on my paper. So I'm going to put it this way, but I always have to make sure that I put this folded corner into the die cut machine. So we're using the number 1 plate and the number 4 plate. This is a 3D embossing folder. So we're going to run this through, and then basically everything else is already cut, and we're just going to throw this one together. Now you can imagine doing the gold foil here, how pretty that would look. Again, I chose to do something different just because, you know, that's me. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and fold this without the help of my trimmer or the Stamparatus. So now I'm just going to take this, and now this is where you have to be a little bit careful with your Stampin' Seal Plus, because anytime that we emboss a piece of paper, it breaks down the integrity of the paper. And so if you are heavy-handed in any way, shape, or form, you're going to tear this paper. All right, so I'm going to bring this in and stick that to, like so. And then this is going to just, I've got some ribbon that I'm going to put around the bottom edge of this. And this is our Sahara Sand ribbon. And it's going to go down here, like so. You guys can, I hope you guys can see that when you do some of the pre-work where you're cutting out some of the die cuts ahead of time, then when you're ready to sit down and do cards, it's really quick and easy to put these cards together. It really does go together pretty darn easy if you have done that. And that's kind of what I do. Sometimes I just sit here and I will sit and I will spend some time die cutting and just spend my time doing that so that I can later put this together. And oh, see, I did it again. I needed to not put this on here so that I could, oh my gosh, tonight, me and my trimming tonight is like a hot mess, right? Okay, so I'm just going to trim that. Everything I tell you guys not to do in class, right? So I'm sure everybody who's on here that comes to my class is totally enjoying watching me go through this tonight. All right, so we're just going to line this up. This is just kind of a bush. Line this one up on this side. And then let me measure and trim. I know next class you guys can all tell me, hey, remember that video you did where you like forgot to trim everything before you put it on? You guys can give me a hard time for that. All right, so this is just going to lay right here. All right, and then we've got 2 more of these that are going to be towards the top. This one is going to be on this side. And then I'm going to do the other little one on the other side. Again, I am trying to keep most of the glue kind of low on this one especially, because I'm going to be putting some stuff behind this one. So I'm not getting very many comments. What are you guys thinking? Do you like that little taking off some of the ink with the blending brushes and then adding some of it back? Whoopsie. Okay, so I think as I'm looking at this, I do want to come in with some soft succulent. And I want to add some trees up here. Those little like bush trees things. So let's do that really quick. Again, this was probably something I should have done before I put all this down. Actually, I think I want this to kind of go over here. Yeah, that just gives it a look like there's some stuff up there. Interesting. So Susie, you've never tried that with the blending brushes. It is a really fun technique. Sorry, I'm just seeing a blank spot over here that I have to fill because it's making me nuts. So I'm just going to ink up this one edge, stamp off, and then bring that in right there. Okay, now I'm happy. So glad I'm happy, right? Okay, so then I pre-cut a lot of these trees, and I did them in evening evergreen. And so again, you're just going to get to see me kind of build this so that it gets all put together. And so I'm going to push this one back behind like so. And then I'm going to come in with this one. And I really have no rhyme and reason for how or why I put things together the way that I do. I think this is where it comes down to your artistic preference when you're designing things like this. That's when, to me, this is when you can really like use your creativity, when you're adding little things like this to your card. It just, this is where it kind of, your creativity starts to shine and show through when you start to add the little things to your cards. And so let me grab another one of these. So does anybody have any questions while I'm putting these trees on with any of the techniques or anything that I've showed you tonight? So if you do, just make sure you type those in the comments. Let me get that shoved behind there. Sometimes when you're trying to build things, you notice how I pause with my talking because I'm focused on trying to get it up and behind some of these little areas. That's kind of one of those things where kind of like you're holding your breath and you've got your tongue out, right? Like hanging out to the left just to make sure everything lines up just right. I don't know if any of you guys do that, but I do that. This one's going to be down there. And then we've got some of the smaller ones. And so I'm going to kind of put the smaller ones up there to just kind of, again, the reason I'm doing that is it just gives it that extra little look of being far away. And like it is, you know, up a hill and behind the horizon. There we go. So again, that's why sometimes I use the littler ones on the top just to give it that dimensional look. Do you clean the blending brushes? Periodically, yes, but I have blending brushes that I use for each like color family. So like I have a blending brush that I use for my blues and my yellows and And the one thing that I will do is, and I'll show you in just a second, is I will kind of swirl them around quite a bit before I use it if I haven't cleaned it. But I do that just, I'm going to say maybe once a month. I will take them upstairs and actually like run them through water and wash them out. It's just that they take, you know, a little bit of time to dry when you do that. And if you guys understood like how much I sit down here and create, you would understand I don't always have a lot of time to wait for like my blending brushes to dry out. So the only reason I don't do that more often is for that reason. So this is where, so when Sherry did her card, she actually did all of the trees, all of this stuff in the 3 different colors of the brushed metallic gold foil. And I just wanted to do pops of color instead of, and then of course this background here was also in the foil. And it was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. But you guys know me, I love green. And so, you know, I needed to have my forest green. I just had to have it. So, yeah. So that's why I didn't do everything in the gold. But you can imagine how pretty this would be if you did use just all gold foil. And all of these accent pieces were the gold foil. Come on, get up underneath there. There we go. And then we're just going to put one more little one, and then we're going to put our bridge, and we're pretty much going to be done with this card except for the sentiment. I'm not going to do the inside of this card for you. I will show you the inside of the one that I did for my card class just for the sake of time. So, I mean, when you're using liquid glue, sometimes you do have to go back and kind of push these areas down. Oh, shoot, I buried my bridge. All right, so I need my Take Your Pick tool so I can push out all these little... So, like, you know, the other card, I stamped the bridge. This time, it is die cut. And I don't believe I put any... This would be a good one to put an adhesive strip on the back because it's got such tiny little edges. All right, so then I'm just going to come up here and we're going to place our bridge on the top like so. All right, and then I'm just going to stamp. I think I'm actually going to do happy birthday. I'm like into birthdays tonight for some reason. Let me see if this will fit. I think it will. And so I did that in, I believe, the basic gray. Because the original card I did, I think it was a thinking of you. And so this time I'm going to do a happy birthday. And I'm not worried about stamping it straight because I'm actually going to fussy cut around this and stick it on this ribbon. So again, if you guys don't know, fussy cutting just means that you are cutting around the edge and you're leaving a little bit of an edge. You're not cutting exactly right on the lines, which I'm telling you right now, if we had to do that, I would be out because I am horrible at cutting directly on the line. I don't know about you guys, but I am not good at it. But I am going to bring that in a little bit there just to give it a little more interest. All right. And then I'm just going to actually glue that. So I'm just going to put glue right down. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and fill this with glue because this will then help to hold that ribbon down in place as well. So I'm just going to turn this over and we're going to do happy birthday right on that ribbon. And hopefully it'll hold that down in place. And there you guys go. What do you think? Again, I know some of you did this in class, but I wanted you to see it from start to finish so that if you did want to recreate it, because in that particular class, I had done most of the work for you, and I wanted you to see it from start to finish. So what I did originally, this one was the Thinking of You. I just put the little trees down here at the bottom. So what do you guys think? So this one obviously is the more Avid, only because it took a few more techniques. Not necessarily that it had more or less pieces, but it just took a few more techniques in this particular card to do. So let me bring in all of the cards that we did tonight so you can get a good look and a good reminder of what is possible with the Waterfall Canyon. And again, remember, these dies are only available for a couple of more days. It's only through September 30th that you can get the dies to go along with this stamp set. Sorry, I'm trying to clean things out of the way so that we can. So there you go. So what comments, guys? I want to hear what you think. Let me pull in it's the Waterfall Canyon, and look, I mean, guys, look at all those dies. I didn't even use half the dies in making these 3 cards. So let's see if I can put them in order. So that was our first card, that was our second card, that was our third card. So this would be simple, casual, Avid. Ta-da! Right? Oh, I'm glad you like the cards, guys. Yeah. They were really fun to play with. Like I said, a lot of people look at this set and they're like, you know, I mean, seriously, how many different scenes can you do with this? This is a completely different scene than these two. These are similar, but I just want you to look at by adding some, like cutting the white down and adding an embossing folder and adding like the gold foils, it gives it a completely different look to the card. And even though I did a banner here or a strip here of the same color, this looks different, right? So I hope you guys are learning that you can use the same stamps, you can use the same set, and you can come up with, even when you have something that is a design that's hard to think of another way to do it, you can definitely come up with ideas on different ways to do these types of cards. So, whoops. All right, so I'm going to put that up really quick one more time. So that is the Waterfall Canyon Bundle. It is only available through September 30th. The stamp set you will be able to get because it's in the annual catalog, but the dies go away on October 1st. Oh, thank you, Juanita. I so much appreciate that you love watching me. That makes me feel good when I do cards that you guys like. So anyway, guys, don't forget, again, those will be gone as of October 1st, so September 30th, last day that you can order those. If you are watching this on YouTube, I will put in the description, I will put a link to all of the supplies used for these cards. And on this Facebook page, I've started deciding to add links to this too later. So I will be adding that later in the comments. So if you guys are ever curious as to what I'm using, you can click on that link and it shows everything that I am using in the cards. All right. Again, I'm going to close with giving you my information one more time. So if you are new to my site, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff. That always helps me get out there so that more people can see the cards that I'm doing. If you wish to order from me, there's all of my information. If you do want to watch this later on YouTube, it is juliebrown.Julie's Creative Stamping. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. I always appreciate it when you give me time, and I went over by about 20 minutes. So sorry. I try to keep it to an hour and 15 minutes. I knew I was going to go a little bit over, but I just really wanted to show you what's possible with these cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and everybody have a good night, and we'll be talking to you next Tuesday. Bye.